Planet X TV.
Only here on Planet X.
Planet X TV.
I remember when I was 22 and I reported here to the Marine Corps Recruit Depot for duty. A lot has changed since then.
Corporal Daniel W.C. Riley was born in Victoria, British Columbia. At age 13, his family moved to Littleton, Colorado. After graduating from high school, while still a Canadian, he enlisted in the United States Marine Corps. At age 25, Riley stepped on an IED in the Marja Valley in Afghanistan. To hear Dan tell it, he is one of the lucky ones.
After boot camp, I was stationed in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. From there, I deployed to Iraq, just outside of Ramadi. While I was in Iraq, about halfway through my deployment on July 4th, 2009, all my paperwork came through and I was sworn in as a citizen by Vice President Biden.
As a former Marine Corps major, I understand the devotion that troops like Daniel feel towards their fellow service members. Once he completed his first combat tour in Iraq, he volunteered to do an additional combat tour in Afghanistan as a combat replacement.
On December 16, 2010, with about a week left in his deployment, Riley and his rifle platoon were clearing a compound in their sector. They had already found and destroyed 2 IEDs that morning when Riley stepped on a third.
We were on our way out and I was, I think, the third guy back in line. And we walked over the edge of the wall in the compound, which we'd all walked over once already. As we were walking out, my left foot went down, I stepped, and just instantaneously the ground gave out a little bit, and I just knew it wasn't good. Blacked out for a split second, thrown in the air. I remember coming down on what at the time I thought were my legs. Retrospect, weren't. And then the pain set in, just started screaming, just instantaneously screaming. Just pain shooting through your body. My IED set off an ambush. Once that IED went off, all the Taliban around decided to let loose. Thankfully, Doc was on me right away. All the guys that were with me were there really fast. Grabbed my legs, grabbed my arm, and talking me through it. And all the guys knew what they were doing. Got the helicopter there and got me on a stretcher. I guess the helicopter landed across a field that hadn't been cleared, and they decided to say screw it and took me on the stretcher and just walked through the uncleared area and put me on the bird. Timing is everything. I was bleeding out, and at that point I knew I was not in good shape.
Three days later, Riley woke up in Landstuhl, Germany, on the operating table.
As much as there was tragedy and everything that was going on, as much as the anguish that was going on,
he was still alive.
He was alive. And the little miracles that came along the way. I mean, he died, they said, a couple times along the way. He had major injuries. He's still critical. One of the reasons they delayed even getting him from Germany was he became unstable getting on the plane. They had to take him actually off the plane and get him back to the hospital.
All told, Riley would endure more than 25 surgical procedures to address a variety of internal injuries and extensive damage to his legs, lung, and left arm and hand. His legs were amputated above the knees, along with 3 fingers on his left hand. In San Diego, Dan was fitted for his first pair of prosthetics. But it was his introduction to surfing that really got him moving in the right direction.
In 2008, CF Operation Rebound with Naval Medical Center San Diego created a surf clinic so troops could rehabilitate through surfing. Since that time, we've helped hundreds of troops like Daniel experience the healing power of sports.
I was just off of my last couple surgeries, so I was still recovering from open wounds, and went down, got on the water, and caught my first waves pretty soon, and just having fun and being active again, which, after months of hospitals and surgeries and therapists, and it was fun and had a great time. Operation Rebound for me has given me an opportunity to be in a community where people are active and are making the choice to be out there. It puts you in a community where you don't have any excuses. It makes it easier to make the choice to be active and live life, not just be alive.
Seeing how well Daniel's doing now makes all that's happened in our family's life worth it.
Now Dan is a role model for other injured troops. He is choosing to live his life to the fullest.
I'm thankful to the corpsmen, the entire medical team that patched me up and got me where I am now. To my family that's been there every step of the journey, and to the other troops out there, the other veterans, the other athletes, the other amputees that have set me up and put me on a path. It's going to be a long journey, but it'll be a fun one, and who knows what the next adventure will be.
Planet X TV.
My name is Adrian Visas Nelson. I'm a retired Army captain. I did 2 deployments to Iraq. I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder shortly after my 2nd deployment. I would explain PTSD to somebody who's never heard of it or experienced it as losing color from your world. There's no joy, there's no happiness. At first, I just had trouble sleeping, but that wasn't new to me. The anxiety got worse, the paranoia got worse, the anger got worse, and then I lapsed into a horrible depression.
The wounds of war are both visible and invisible. When the individual is actually suffering from an internal wound, they're not only suffering with themselves, but if they're going back into their family or work environment, they're impacted as well. And when the work environment or family environment is impacted by the psychological wounds of distress and the neurological wounds that are there, the society at large is impacted.
So many things were really actually pretty scary. When he came back, he didn't seem to be in control of his emotions. In turn, I didn't feel very much in control. We didn't have any recourse. I didn't know what to do.
I tried alternative medicine because I was desperate. I've tried yoga, I've tried massage, I've tried EMDR, I've used biofeedback machines, I've got acupuncture.
In the real scope of what would be best for a patient, it's ideal to integrate both approaches. Looking at what would be most effective for that patient, looking at it both from a conventional way and also from a complementary and alternative medicine way. This empowers them with the skill sets. It also helps them decrease their dependency on medication and provider visits. And then ultimately, it also helps reduce costs.
PTSD is a wound. It's no different than being shot. When somebody needs help, it's important to raise your hand and say, I need a medic.
We're really, really interested in finding a different way to not just treat Adrian's post-traumatic stress disorder immediately, but really look for lifelong management tools, something that we could live with and something that could give us hope.
We all are responsible for our wounded warriors coming back to integrate back into society in the most healed capacity possible, because not only it affects their home environment, the work environment, and the safety of this country.
So far away, 100 years and just a day, are silent strangers when I'm marching on. Out into the night they go, what they see will never know, but something so deep keeps them going strong. Something you believed, would you give up everything? Your life, your home, for someone you don't know. It happens every day, my friends, so let us remember them, and may we cherish everything we hold. Every time you bleed, just so I can
Planet X TV.
Growing up, I was more of a loner type kid at first. Grew up in one of the city gangs.
Around my 10th grade year, I really started getting into church and sports, and I got so involved in sports, I didn't have time for the game. So it was like, either you're gonna do one or the other. I was having fun, and I was having fun and not getting in trouble having fun.
He was in everything from basketball, cross-country running, and football. I mean, he done everything. And we was there, well, I was there. At every game, every track meet, everything.
My mother was a hard worker at that time. She was holding down 2 jobs and working side jobs to make sure we was taken care of.
Everywhere he went, I was going in, just following.
Terry took care of it. I mean, when Mama wasn't around, she was like the second mama. So, you know, she took care of us. Just like my brother Michael took care of me because my father wasn't around. Michael was my role model really to everything, you know. It was because of Michael I started playing sports. I actually was gonna drop out of college and just go straight into the military. And so he kind of pushed me toward the ROTC program and finishing up my education and stuff. So my brother was more of the guiding light toward the Army. After he came back from Kuwait, he was doing a night shift job. In 1995, he got hit by a drunk driver on the way home. So that was a big impact on me right there. And it was because of him I got into the military. So I always emulated whatever he tried to do. When I first went into Iraq, you know, it's a horrible smell. It's like all the sewage just broke or something like that. The area is kind of like a junkyard to me. Looked like a big junkyard, need to be cleaned up real bad. That morning, I had just finished playing cards and stuff with my buddies, and somebody came banging on the door saying that they think they're having an incoming fire gonna come in, so they want all us to go to the bunkers and stuff. Didn't see it coming, didn't hear it coming. When it exploded beside me, that's when everything went white. And after that, everything, I don't remember. We don't have no pulse and the machines are saying that you're dead, then you go in the body bag. They had listed me as killed in action. They were looking for my social security number and stuff for identification for me, and nobody put my dog tags and my personal effects stuff at the time. So the nurse came by, and they didn't have the body bag all the way zipped up, so she just opened up the body bag to see what my dog tags were, and she started seeing bubbles coming out from my tray, and realized that, you know, this guy's still alive. So they pulled me back in and started working on me, got me resuscitated properly, and then they shipped me out to Baghdad.
And that's when we got the phone call saying that, you know, that Anthony had got hit. They said that he may possibly be dead. They really weren't sure.
Ended up in a coma for 62 days. I got post-traumatic stress, lost vision in my right eye, have T7 spinal cord injury. I lost my full hip. I don't have a hip at all. I have what they call a girdle in there. Leave my leg 1.5 inch sorted on the other side. My most obvious one, I lost my right arm. During my recovery, you know, you had to just learn so much all over again. You know, I started remembering stuff about my brother when I was going through my recovery phase, I guess you want to call it, when I was in therapy. You know, like you kind of hear your brother in your head saying like, you know, you can do this, push harder, you know.
The fact that he believed in himself, you know. All Anthony needed was some support,
When I got back, I got into the aerobics group and started doing all the aquatic exercises to strengthen my body. And that's when I ran into Nico. And he changed the whole aspect of everything I was doing.
When I first saw Anthony, he was 310 pounds, in a wheelchair, smoking cigarettes. And I knew that, hey, this is somebody that we really need to reach out to. It looks like he needs a little extra support, and he needs somebody to get behind him. And so that's when I approached him and let him know about what we could do through the CAF Operation Rebound program.
I told him I wanted to get back into cycling, I want to get back into my martial arts. He said, well, why don't you do it? I'm like, well, the finances ain't there, and I don't have a train. I kind of like made all the excuses, and then it was like a month later, my bike showed up. Operation Rebound actually bought me a bike. It was like my bike. And they bought me all the stuff that needed to go on that bike so that I could be able to perform with it.
Planet X TV. Planet X TV.
Sports are incredibly important for these men and women, and a lot of them find that they end up doing things they never thought they could do prior to being injured. I don't think Anthony was thinking about doing triathlon prior to losing his arm and a big chunk of his hip missing and losing eyesight in one eye. That would have never occurred to him, and now he's a triathlete.
Martial arts teaches us to never give up, and that's what that tattoo symbolizes. It says no matter how many times that I go through and I struggle, and no matter how many times I'm beat down, I'll never give up. I'll always be persistent.
Well, that's a pretty ring. Or what the color represent? Any particular thing?
Yeah, that's the Purple Heart.
Oh, okay. I am so proud of you.
Even with all the things that I went through, and then to be able to have a son and be able to raise your son.
Get the bike. Come on, push it.
Oh, I'm ecstatic. I'm very happy, you know. I have my good days and bad days, I think, like any other disabled guy has. But overall, I'm very happy. And not just happy, but content. And, that's what I'm most proud of, that I'm able to get up in the morning, have somebody counting on me, have somebody looking forward to seeing me. That gives me that lift and that pride that I need to keep going.
Planet X TV. Planet X TV. Planet X TV.
Planet X is brought to you by Vertigo, the world's finest high-performance pogo stick. And by Play and Trade. They're not just playing games. And by ReefSurfer.com, turning you on to the world of underwater reef surfing.